Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Chairperson is unable to attend this evening, thus I'll be acting chairman tonight. We are ready to begin this evening's board meeting. Sergeant at Arms, has the front lobby been attended to and the doors open for public access? Thank you, Chief. Okay, we request that all electronic devices be turned off or put in silent mode. Also, please refrain from using flash photography except during the special presentations portion of the meeting. Prior to the start of this evening's meeting, we had been enjoying music from the South Fort Myers Marching Band. This group of students is under the direction of Tyler Craner and will be performing at the Lee County Marching NPA at Fort Myers High School on November 4th. Members of this group were also recently featured at the City of Fort Myers Latin Music Festival. Please give these performers another round of applause.
Before we play on that tune, I wanted to make sure I brag on these dudes a little bit. We went to the Lightning Tournament band that we had high school on Saturday, and it was the first marching competition that South has been to in about 6 years. And they were able to take home a couple of really nice awards from that. The best being we got second place in our division AA from all the schools that competed throughout Collier, Lee, Charlotte, DeSoto, all that. So that was really awesome. They also took home, you've been enjoying that part of our drum line tonight. They took home best in class percussion or drum line. And then Shelly over here, our drum major, took home superior drum major.
One second, sir. I just have to call real quick. I got to call the meeting to order. So I'm pleased to welcome you to the October 17th school board meeting. The time is 6:02 p.m. and this meeting is called to order. We'll now hear one more song from this amazing group.
So it's about a third of
Thank you, South Fort Myers Marching Band. That was amazing.
I want the drum line to play.
We will pause briefly to allow clearing of the pit area.
Great job, guys.
to ensure that each student achieves his or her highest personal potential and the district's visions to be a world-class school system. Okay. Moving on to item number 2, approval of the agenda. This evening's agenda includes invocation, presentation of colors and pledge of allegiance, public comment, consent action items, which include 3 items under board office, 1 item under executive services, which is good cause. Dr. Bernier, please provide an explanation for this 1 item.
I'm presenting this item to the board as good cause due to the pressing need to secure approval for your legislative platform promptly. This will allow us to embark on our lobbying process and our visit to Tallahassee tomorrow, where we advocate for the benefit of our students, teachers, administrators, support professionals, and all staff members for the School District of Lee County.
Thank you, Dr. Bernier. As presiding officer, I find there is good cause to add this item to the agenda. We also have 5 items under academic services, 3 items under business services, 5 items under human resources, 8 items under operation, 1 public hearing, and I believe we are now under 3 items for good of the order, other business, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I know 1 motion was 4? Okay, we have 4 items. My apologies on that. Board members, is there a motion to adopt the agenda? Okay, Ms. Jordan, followed by a second.
I move to adopt the agenda as written.
Thank you. Second from Ms. Langford Fleming. Okay. Please record your vote.
I cannot, it's not up, but yes.
Motion carries 6-0. Next up, as the custom of the board, I will introduce our guests for the invocation. Afterwards, Mrs. Juvenelli will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand, everyone, for the invocation. Rabbi, if you want to join us. Yes. Tonight I would like to welcome Rabbi Minkovitz. He is the spiritual leader and director of Chabad Lubavitch of Southwest Florida. Thank you for joining us, Rabbi.
Almighty God, we stand before you in prayer. Look favorably upon the school board, educators, and students of Lee County, Florida. We beseech you, Almighty and merciful God, to extend your grace to each and every board member of this august body and bestow upon them the joy of life, good health, and prosperity. Bless these distinguished individuals who have been chosen to make decisions, set policy, guide, and shape the future of education for the children of Lee County. Grant these public servants wisdom and understanding in their noble pursuit of educating the children of Lee County. Give them guidance so that they will always be conscious of your presence and will strive to set policy with honesty and integrity in accordance with your will. May they have wisdom to turn adversity into opportunity and to transform the hard challenges we face today into the seeds from which will sprout the growth of tomorrow. May our county serve as a beacon of light for people of all faiths, of all walks of life. May the school board help achieve the goal so powerfully stated in our Pledge of Allegiance, so that America is truly one nation under God, indivisible with liberty and justice for all. As the whole world is praying for Israel, we here in Lee County join in prayer as well. We pray that God should avenge the blood of the murdered, ensure the hostages are immediately redeemed, and the wounded have complete and speedy recoveries. We pray our soldiers succeed in their heroic and holy work, and that they all come home safely. We pray for the safety, security, and well-being of all our brothers and sisters in the Holy Land during this horrible war and forever. Now, let us say Amen. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you for your words, Rabbi. Please remain standing. Mrs. Juvenelli, please lead us in the presentation of colors and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Introducing the cadet who will present the national colors tonight is Lieutenant Colonel Scott Bernardo, Senior Army instructor for the Cypress Lake High School JROTC program. Colonel Bernardo retired from the United States Army in 2017 after many years of distinguished service in positions of increasing responsibility around the world. This is Colonel Bernardo's 7th year as an instructor in the district. Thank you, Colonel, for your service.
Thank you. Presenting the national colors tonight is Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Anya Mencarelli. Cadet Mencarelli is a senior at Cypress Lake High School and an outstanding example of a leader and citizen. She is a top cadet in her JRTC program and has served as a varsity member and team captain of the Panther Raider team, drill team, and color guard. Anya's been on the weightlifting team and is an outstanding member of the prestigious National Honor Society. She has a 4.0 GPA, and after high school, she plans to attend Florida Southwest and the University of Central Florida to pursue a career in nursing. Please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. Okay. This evening's student representative is Nishini Fernando, a sophomore at Dunbar High School with a GPA of 4.56. She's involved in the math team, TSA, Technology Student Association, HOSA, Science Fair, and Inventors Fair. She aspires to pursue a career in medicine and continue to raise STEM awareness. In her free time, she enjoys singing and playing the saxophone. She has been a part of the All-Star Choir for 2 consecutive years. Please welcome Nishini. Great to have you tonight. Okay. Moving on to item E, public comment. The next item, Attorney Debris Bruno, please address the item of public comment.
Good evening, and thank you, Mr. Chairman. The school board policy provides the opportunity at this point in the meeting to address the board concerning any matter on this meeting's agenda or any other matter relevant to the operation of the school district. Please complete a public comment card and put it in the basket provided. If you need a public comment card, they are provided by our staff. The rules concerning public comment are posted in the back and will be made from the podium in the front center aisle. Please be advised that the board will not respond during public comment to remarks made by speakers. Concerns will be addressed by the superintendent or his staff as necessary, and the chair may also comment as deemed appropriate at the conclusion of public comment. The superintendent may also comment if deemed appropriate. The purpose of public comment is to provide feedback on district issues such as duties, responsibilities, decisions, and the general operation of the district. The school board is viewpoint neutral during public comment. We ask that decorum be kept and respect be shown, which is what is expected when a government agency conducts official business. Therefore, abusive language such as cursing, insults, derogatory language levied against an individual or a class of people are prohibited. Further, personal attacks such as name-calling are prohibited. In addition, clapping, hissing, and booing, or a display of temper during public comment is prohibited. Speakers who fail to follow proper decorum in the chambers will be ruled out of order by the board chair or the parliamentarian. Any speaker continuing with such remarks will be required to relinquish the microphone per Board Policy 0169.1 and may be removed from the chambers by the Sergeant at Arms. Per Board Policy 0169.1, the time per speaker is 3 minutes if there are 20 speakers, 2 minutes if there are 30 speakers, and 1 minute if there are 31 speakers or more. The maximum time allotted for public comment is 1 hour, 60 speakers. You will find a countdown on the big screen in the front of the room. Once your time has elapsed, the microphone will automatically shut off. Please state your name when you approach the microphone. I will call your names 5 speakers at a time. Please follow staff's direction when lining up. Mr. Chairman, there are 9 individuals that wish to address the board this evening. The time per speaker is 3 minutes.
Thank you, Attorney Dupree Bruno. Please ensure you have completed a public comment card if you intend to provide public comment. The card is a public record identifying those who speak and providing contact information to staff for follow-up. The cards are located with staff in the hallway. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address the board but did not fill out a comment card? Please raise your hand. Okay. Seeing none. Attorney Dupree Bruno, please proceed with public comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Will the following individuals please line up? Megan Shaw, Dr. Edward Drass, Geneva Kelly, Dr. Madeline Stewart, Robert Daniels. And just wait till the timer comes up. There you go.
Good evening. My name is Megan Shaw. I am here tonight to talk about a bus stop issue that I'm having with the district. I sent an email to all of you with some information to review ahead of time so that you could see pictures and the communications I'm having with the district without any success. This is an issue I've been dealing with since the beginning of the school year. I reached out to transportation immediately when I found out where the school bus stop was. I did not receive a response. I reached out to the school. I did not receive a response. I finally reached out to the principal and finally had my information transferred to somebody. Monstronius Lafales, I might be saying that name wrong, responded and basically said, according to state guidelines, the stop is safe. I got another email telling me per state law, the stop cannot be made in a turn lane and must be made before a turn lane begins. The driver cannot block the entrance of the community. I asked for them to provide me with the law or guidelines or any information that would support what they are stating. And just to give a brief overview, I live in Venetian Point. It's on the corner of Summerlin and Gladiolus, 2 of our most busiest roads. It's 50 miles an hour, and the current bus stop requires that my son exit the neighborhood and walk more than 200 feet. I don't do distances, but it's a pretty long hike down the road where bicycles are flying by, there's no curb, it's a swell, and wait there for the school bus to come. It is extremely dangerous, it's terrifying, and especially when it's raining, it's just not safe. Middle school gets picked up right in front of the neighborhood. I'm not sure where high school gets picked up, but I assume it's the exact same as middle school. When I brought this to the attention, I was told that they were going to move the middle school bus, which I'm not trying to put any other kids in danger, so I really don't want that to happen. We have 2 entrances to my community, and it doesn't make sense why we can't find a place for this bus to pick up our kids without being at risk of getting hit by a car going 50 miles an hour. I was again told state law. I pulled the state law. I'm an attorney. That's what I do for a living. I pulled statutes. I pulled the school board policies. I do not find anything that says that you can't stop a bus in front of my neighborhood. Furthermore, my community would not have any issue with blocking my neighborhood for the 1 minute it takes for the school bus to stop and the kids to get on. And so I ask for your assistance tonight to help me get this bus stop moved to where it's a safe place for my kid and all of the other kids. There's plenty of space there. I've had the safety inspector come out, but his reason is just these guidelines that nobody will provide me with. And so I implore you to please assist me in getting this changed.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good evening, board members, Dr. Bernier and Ms. Dupree Bruno. I'm Dr. Edward Drass. First, I'd like to comment on the nature of these meetings and the general operation of the board. Since the newly formed board took office, I have noted a significant improvement in congeniality and effectiveness of board workshops and board meetings, and of the general work of the district. I think this is no accident. New board leadership has added cohesiveness and conservative thought to the decisions and actions produced. There is, however, room for improvement. Serious, important issues such as financial transparency, teacher retention, and effective graduation of students with higher math and reading skills are goals to work toward. With the objective of working together on such issues, I would like to bring to your attention the fact that the Lee Republican Executive Committee, the official body of the Republican Party in Lee County, with 274 current members, now has a public education committee, which is designated liaison to the school board and district. I have been chosen to chair that committee. The committee is composed of individuals with expertise in school district policy and function. Our goal is to make the district function more effectively, to improve public education, to reduce spending and eliminate waste, and to improve trust in the public face of district leadership and in the education system in general. It is my hope that you and the members of the committee can work together collegially to obtain these ends. Look upon us as a resource in the community to help disseminate information about district activities and serve as a source of advice and recommendation for proposed district policies. We would like to meet with each of you individually and to introduce ourselves and explain our purpose, so in the coming days we will schedule appointments to accomplish this. Additionally, and this was an item that just came to my attention last week, the choice of Dr. Bernier as superintendent was well thought, and since his arrival, the district has been managed to a high degree of professional conduct and efficiency. I was disappointed to read his letter stating that he will not seek the elected office. Continuity of professional management of the district is extremely important. Thank you for your time, and please continue your endeavors for the good of the district.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Kelly. I'm here to request a hardship waiver for my son to change schools. Not in January after a nervous breakdown, but now, while I can save the little bit of strength he has left. My son has had type 1 diabetes since he was 2. Between needles, pokes, sugar highs, and lows, I have never seen him as defeated as he feels right now because of school. He doesn't feel supported by teachers, staff, and was one of several kids taken out of the music program because he didn't want to join their marching band. If I'm not mistaken, Arts and Humanities is a part of the IB program here. I've spoken to the IB counselor, assistant principal, 504 coordinator, been to student enrollment, and called to speak to Dr. Bernier himself, but got a nice lady named Kim who wished she had better news for me instead. My son started the year excited. I've watched him go from an A student to having C's and even D's. I've watched him reach out for help only to feel alone when teachers responded days later and his assignments fell behind after missing school due to other medical issues. He's a good kid, turning into someone I don't even recognize because of the pressure he feels. He doesn't understand why he can't get answers and why it wasn't clear when we picked the school that the music program was changing. Kids act out, right? We pass off bad behavior because they're teenagers. We want them to be like us, so we want them to suck it up and get over it. But they are growing up in a completely different time, with technology and a system that was not in place when most of us went to school. To tell him to suck it up would mean to accept something that's not working. I didn't come here to badmouth his school or give advice on how to run a system with too many kids and not enough teachers. I understand the challenge that we're all facing. I am saying that lack of communication and support is making my son miserable. On the student enrollment website, the welcome page states, ensuring each student achieves his or her highest personal potential. I'm asking you to stand by those words today. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Madeline Stewart. First, I want to congratulate the Academic Services team, I don't know if they're here tonight, for the outstanding process they developed for the social studies textbook selection. I was able to participate for part of the 20-hour process, and I was impressed by the structure the staff provided for teacher input, group conversation, learning, and deliberation. What also impressed me were the things the teachers shared that they were looking for in a social studies textbook: lack of bias, clear factual material, original sources, ways to translate for non-English speaking students, engaging thought-provoking presentations, and more. In other words, the teachers knew their students, they knew what motivated them, they knew the subject matter, and were looking for a textbook that could meet those needs. I think the structure that the Academic Services team provided gave them that opportunity. So again, I congratulate the educational professionals, teachers, and administrative staff who took part in the process, and I want to underscore that the professional knowledge and expertise they demonstrated is a cause for celebration in our district. So congratulations to Lee County School District and the board and Dr. Bernier and Kathy Dupree-Bruno. Thank you.
Robert Daniels. I'll say honestly, I hadn't planned to be here tonight. I did not want to be here tonight. I was going to give you the same gift I do give my students when they're doing well. They don't hear from me for a couple weeks. Unfortunately, while I was listening to the workshop and grading my papers this afternoon, I heard a lack of something when we talked about the legislative platform. And when I went back and I listened to last week's workshop, I heard some skepticism about the necessity of the millage and the impact it might have on teachers. I know one of our small counties in the neighbor area passed such a millage, and it meant $10,000 a year for the teachers. They might only get it for 4 years, but I want you to think what you could do with earning your own salary on top of what you already earn across 4 years. That's the entire time your children are in high school. You could all of a sudden have a college fund. You could now have an emergency fund. You might be able to finish your hurricane repairs that your insurance didn't pay for. I can't tell you how many teachers are in that situation. I was greatly disappointed to hear that skepticism, and that part of the skepticism was the question of, well, what do we do after the 4 years when it runs out? Well, communicate to the teachers that it might not be there in 4 years, and let them plan like the college-educated adults they are. I'm every year insulted by the fact that I have to choose between lump sum at the end of the year or pay through summer because the district does not deem me responsible enough to manage my own money to be paid in full for the 10 months I am working, which perpetuates the misconception that I get paid for those times I'm not working in the summer. I wish my paycheck stopped in June when I stopped working. It would really help making these arguments better, that people understood I work 196 days, I get paid for 196 days, and it would fall on much more welcoming ears among the community who are struggling just as much, if not more, than the teachers when we ask them, no, hey, we want our legislative delegation to say it's okay to charge them an extra $10 each on up to whatever it would cap out at for this millage. That millage will make a difference to the teachers. If I had had a millage return on, say, temporary raise of $3,000 over the last 4 years, I'd be completely debt-free. And I'm in far better straits than many of the teachers, simply by virtue, again, of not having children. You like to comment on the 19 million or however many million it was that enabled you to make zero cost increase for those with dependents and the insurance, those are the very same people who will benefit the most from this kind of increase, even if it's temporary. Get them through those odd teenage years where there's braces and other unique medical expenses coming up. It'll make a major difference, and it's needed for morale at this point. Thank you.
Will the following individuals please line up? Christine Forsythe, Lou Navarro, Joe Phillips, Dr. Shirley Chapman.
Hello, my name is Christine Forsythe. I am a parent of 3 children in the Lee County school system. I have a high schooler. My problem that I'm here for is the school proximity for the elementary schools. I have a 3rd grade gifted child who received an IEP placement at Lehigh Elementary School. He can have bus transportation, but my 5th grader cannot at that school. I would have to change her to a school and leave my 3rd grader who has special needs. Basically, he is very highly sensitive and needs his sister along with the bus. I can't have my little boy who's only 7 going on 8 walking home by himself. He needs his sister with him. So I am forced to do the drop off the kids in the morning, and then in the afternoon I have to leave my work, go pick my kids up, bring them home, and then go back to work for 1 hour. We are losing over $600 a month because of my missing work about 10 hours a week to bring my kids to and from school because we do not have a bus. We live 0.6 miles from the proximity zone, which is only 3 streets where the last bus would be available at. And I know that I've heard they are going to be making changes and arrangements for the school proximity and transportation and the lines for before school and after school, but they are desperately needed by families who are struggling to pay bills and take care of their family. It's very hard having to describe to my children that I have no extra money. What I have is to try to pay the bills and provide groceries. We had homecoming a few weeks ago, and I had to go to a thrift store to buy my high schooler a dress, which is very defeating to me, and I feel like a failure as a parent because I can't get my kids to school and from school without causing financial burden on my family. Please help us. If you can increase the busing a little bit, like I said, we're 0.6 miles, not even a full mile from where the proximity ends. And my child was placed in that school for his IEP as gifted because he is brilliant, but I also need his sister to be with him. She goes to middle school next year, so I will have 3 children in 3 different schools next year, but I need help this year keeping them together till the end of the school year. Thank you. Have a good night.
Good evening, school board. Tonight's topic, new taxes for property tax to pay for teachers' salaries. You should have thought of that when you did the half-cent regressive sales tax. Dr. A.K., the previous superintendent, was only interested in building buildings and capital outlay. Now you want to charge us property tax. The state legislature always fails to fund anything. I've known that since I was at Florida State in '72. Now we have to foot the bill, but you're wrong. Overall, we're paying 1.03 property taxes, which ranks very high with the state. Now, I don't care about the rhetoric of, well, the other counties got that property taxes. You're wrong. You should have done it with the sales tax, and you didn't. It's not the superintendent's fault either. So, you know, we're not interested in this, Ms. Morgan, please. You know better than that. Anyway, let's look at some of the $2 billion budget, okay? Busing, millions. tripledippers.org and these overpaid administrators, and there's a new report coming out, folks. Save millions. Busing, I like the superintendent. He did a good job. He's trying to eliminate a lot of busing. 13.5 miles is still not good enough to save enough money. We don't need school choice. Now, the superintendent has had good ideas, and he's done well, but you are the fault he's leaving. The board has picked to elect a superintendent because they were tired of the nonsense. He's the best superintendent in 30 years. Shame on all of you. Now, what else would we do? The remedy. Don't add new taxes. Go back and change the regressive sales tax to include teacher salaries. We even have a House bill to raise teacher salaries to $65K a year. His name is Tay. You can look it up. I hope you like my new shirt. It's called, well, just go ahead and look at it. I promised Armour, but I guess he's not here again, or I don't know where he is. But let me tell you, we need to spend time not banning books, not worrying about where worry about 46%.
Thank you, Mr. Navarro.
Fast. The kids are illiterate.
Your time is
Thank
up,
you.
sir.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I know it's you all don't know me anyway, but God bless you.
My name's Smoking Joe. Before I start my speech, I wanted to say I was very happy to finally got a call from the head investigator of the Ethics Commission, and you'll all be notified that my complaints are now going to be heard. Now, let's see. I'm here tonight to touch base on the Taylor English investigation, which the public deserves to know about the findings of how the district spent $85,000 on an investigation and nothing has been discussed about the findings. This investigation should come to nobody's surprise. Anyone as an employee have come forward over the years. Some, like Carlos Briones, lost their jobs when reported what others stated in the investigation. This employee was terminated. All right. The biggest concern I have is the investigation that took place only when Al Oaks brought it forward during a court deposition, but the employees for years have been ignored. The Taylor English report covered employees engaging in corruption, and that left and ignored and other allegations that the school board member from District 3 engaged in part of this corruption. They failed to investigate the part on Al Oaks' report where he hired his own investigator, and the Taylor English investigator failed to look at the employees still here that helped to cover up for these corrupt employees. Now listen, I wasn't planning on coming tonight, but I'm going to tell you, I'm not stopping until I get a forensic investigation, and Kevin Carnes is not the one. Kevin Carnes is represented by Terry Miller. So it's 3 more of you members, and the so-called placement for your superintendent that's coming is a Terry Miller under a campaign. We're not going to be running Lee County by a strategy company no longer. We're going to fight back, and I would suggest Armour and Sam, I'd suggest you put in your resignation, because after I talked to Mr. Malone today, we're going to have some fireworks, and my attorney's name is Mr. Jim, I'm sorry, I got 3 of them. The one that told me to, Molinar. Jim Molinar, if you've got anything to say to me, you call Jim Molinar, because I'm going to come after every one of you. Resign. Yous are all going to get it. It's coming out. Yous know it's coming out. But Kevin Carnes cannot it's a conflict of interest. He cannot investigate the people that he's in bed with. Thank you. Have a nice day. So long. Good job wherever you go in your liberal position. Oh yeah.
Good evening. My name is Shirley Chapman, and I want to start out by saying how disappointed I was to hear that Superintendent Bernier does not plan to be in the running this year. I appreciate what he has done in the position since he's been there, and the impact that I've felt that it has had on a lot of not only the students, but a lot of the staff members who have come to speak with us. Now, my other concern is the same thing I've had all along. We need a middle school in the Dunbar-Tice community. We need a middle school. And as I was looking around, I thought about a few years ago when we thought across from James Stevens we were getting ready to have one, and it didn't work out. But I'm thinking that once Franklin Park is rebuilt and that area is cleared again, we might have a pretty good chance of having one. We need a middle school in our community, and we'd be very grateful if we could get one. I have not had an opportunity to meet some of the board members, but I want you to know that I realize that yours is a difficult job. You will never please everybody. So you have to do what you know is best for Lee County and the school district of Lee County. And we'll be there to do what we can to support. But my heart is just heavy when it comes to Dr. Bernier. And I'm asking, and I'm even concerned about the top 2 staff members that he brought in under him. But anyway, thank you for listening. And just remember, we need a middle school in the Dunbar-Tice community. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, that concludes public comment.
Thank you. Dr. Bernier or Attorney Dupree Bruno, is there anything you'd like to address regarding public comment?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, members of the public, I think there's a couple of things we need to address. First of all, related to bus stops and the specific bus transportation, I know there are members of the staff who are here who will also be collecting numbers. I think in terms of the bus stop and safety, I think it's important for those to look at what the hazardous walking conditions look like and what makes a hazard. So I will ensure that we connect staff, the appropriate staff. Our Chief Operations Officer will be here shortly. So he will make that connection. In terms of the aspect of some of the other transportation issues and ensuring that IEPs and other things are being met, I know Jessica Duncan is in the back with other individuals. Sorry, Dr. Duncan is in the back, and will be more than happy to speak with those parents. One of my concerns is about the aspect of a student who's unhappy to school and wants out. And if we have an opportunity, or if we have an option, we have to consider it. I'm really impressed that the executive director for high school stood up before you'd even finished your comments. So he will be with you as well, so we can get the additional details and see what we can work out. Dr. Drask, I'm going to go ahead. I responded to your email. He's gone. I'm going to tell him anyway. He's there. You've already emailed me and asked for an appointment. I emailed you back today to ensure that that's moving forward, so I will take that appointment. And lastly, I know we need a middle school in the Dunbar area. The 10-year plan is coming forward. We'll get a chance to look at where that fits and how that fits based upon our enrollment numbers. But I really feel like I have to address the other issues that people have raised. I'm not gone. I'm still here. I still continue to plan to work through the terms of my contract. I am excited about this job. I am thrilled to be working with a board that supports me. I do know every day, every single day I come to work, and I am a committed individual who believes in doing hard work. But there's a little Jiminy Cricket on my shoulder that reminds me every day that I serve at the pleasure of 7 board members. That's added incentive to ensure that I communicate, be transparent, speak with them, and continue to lead this district with honesty, integrity, and related to what's in the best interest of children. It feels weird, to be honest with you, as a matter of point of personal privilege. It just feels weird, like I'm leaving tomorrow. I'm going to be here for a while, and I'm sure somewhere along the line, I will upset someone either on the staff side or the community side before this is all done. But I will, hopefully that upset is related to making a decision at the time around what is in the best interest of children. So I appreciate that. I appreciate the comments, but I think it's time to continue to move beyond that, look at the next year, and look at what we can continue to accomplish before that transition occurs. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
And Mr. Chairman, I also have a comment, also to Dr. Drass. Wanted to explain a couple of things. So we have three actual board policies that address political activity with regards to the school district. So one thing is if somebody comes and tries to advocate for a particular candidate, that person would have been shut down by me. But you did not advocate for a political candidate. You were explaining something with regards to the committee. So that was fine to be able to talk to the board about that. Board members, superintendent, they're free to meet with any member of the community whenever they so choose. They make no discrimination in terms of party or politics or whatever it is. They're able to do that. However, one thing that we can't do is have a board advisory committee that is tied to a political party, because there are rules regarding finances and how restrictions in terms of the board utilizing any of their funds for political activities of any sense. So I wanted to make sure that was clear to you when you get some responses, okay? Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Dr. Bernier. Thank you, Attorney Dupree Bruno. Thank you, everyone, for coming out and giving your comments tonight. It is truly appreciated. Moving on to item M, approval of consent action items. The documentation for action items is listed under consent is available to board members 7 business days before the board meeting. We are expected to review all the material, and we have an opportunity to speak with the superintendent with any questions we may have regarding those recommendations. Some of these items have also been briefed or workshopped with the board before appearing on the action agenda. Board members, are there any agenda items you wish to pull for discussion under the unfinished business tabled items portion of the agenda? First up, Ms. Juvenelli.
I have none, thank you.
Ms. Patrica.
No, thank you.
Ms. Jordan.
I have none, thank you.
Ms. Langford Fleming.
I have none, thank you.
Ms. Morgan.
I have none, thank you.
And I have none. At this point, is there a motion to approve tonight's agenda consent action items?
I move to approve tonight's consent agenda items. Thank you.
Do we have a second? Moved by Ms. Langford Fleming and seconded by Ms. Jordan. Please record your vote, everyone. Do we have the vote count? Motion carries 5-1. Okay, Ms. Patrica?
That should be a yes, please.
Okay, can we correct that in the record to reflect that Board Member Patrica voted yes on that item? And then thus the motion carries 6-0.
Thank you, sorry.
Thank you.
What happened?
Sorry. Okay, Dr. Bernier, please introduce any administrators in attendance with a new assignment that was approved under the consent agenda.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, members of the public, we're pleased to provide you information on 5 appointments this evening. The first appointment is for Eve Sizemore. She'll be working in the Food and Nutrition Services Division as the Coordinator of Food and Service, Nutrition Services, Recruitment and Operations. Your second is a change of assignment. That is for Tanya Casson. She will also continue to working in the Food and Nutrition Services, as she is the coordinator of Food and Nutrition Services as well in the Recruitment and Operations Division. Elizabeth Carter will be taking the position of Assistant Principal at Tortuga Preserve Elementary School. Angela Nader will be becoming the Director of the Early Childhood Learning Services. And finally, Ronald Irarusi will be joining the Student Services Division as one of the Directors of Constituent Services and Student Discipline. Mr. Chair, members of the public, and to our candidates, first of all, to your families and your loved ones who are sitting with you, to all of you, thank you for the love and support that you provide these individuals, to the colleagues that are sitting with them as well. Thank you for continuing to support them. I know in some cases you're very excited they're moving on, but I know you're also wondering how you're going to fill the hole from such great services that are leaving you and going to other places. That's always the next problem we have to fix. We make really great appointments, and then we figure out how we're going to fill those holes where you left, and we'll figure out how to do that, because this system will continue to move on and find great quality people. But thank you to your families and your colleagues who support you, and to our individuals. I always share this. This is an appointment of trust. It symbolize a trust from the board and from the superintendent that you are qualified, that you've gone through the processes, and you are prepared to continue to do the work necessary to provide for our students. Because no matter what position you work in, whether you're more direct as an assistant principal or away somewhere else in another part of the operation, everything we do impacts the lives of students. Every dollar we save has an opportunity to impact our classrooms. So thank you for your commitment to this and service to the youth of this community. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bernier. Thank you to the administrators. Thank you for everything you're doing. Enjoy tonight, and I'm going to echo or channel Mr. Persons. Have a great time tonight, but please show up on time tomorrow. So everyone's, if you want, you're dismissed. If you want to go and enjoy the rest of the night with your family, we'll take... We'll briefly pause as everyone exits. Okay, we have no unfinished business, so moving on to item Q, public hearings. Dr. Bernier, please present your recommendation for this evening's public hearing item.
Mr. Chairman, we have an item Q1, approval to adopt new and revised board policies in compliance with the changes in related rules, regulations, and statutes, to adopt best practices and promote transparency and accountability. The effective date of this adoption shall be October 18th, 2023.
We will now recess the regular school board meeting and open the public hearing. Sorry about that. We will now recess the regular school board meeting and open the public hearing. The time is 6:54 p.m. As indicated, the public hearing this evening is to consider Dr. Bernier's recommendation as previously stated. At this time, the public will be invited to speak on this one item. The time allotted for public comment is 3 minutes. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to address the board regarding the approval to adopt new and revised policies in compliance with changes in related rules, regulations, and statutes, to adopt best practices and to promote transparency and accountability, starting with Board Bylaws 144 to 166, Chapter 1000 Policies Administration 1120 to Policy 1242, including new policy discretionary compensation for elected superintendent.
Mr. Chairman, if we could
one at
just
a time,
pause.
sorry.
Yes. If
My
there's any-
apologies. So we're going to stick first with Board Bylaws 144 to 166. Do we have any public comment on those items? Please step up, Mr. Daniels. And again, this is just for board bylaws 144 to 166. I skipped ahead before.
Okay, well, sorry, Robert Daniels, I will apologize if these are under the wrong numbers. I memorized the titles, not the numbers for those policies. The one removes the use, possession of tobacco on school property by students from being a nuisance schedule. It just seems like you may be removing one of your more important tools from dealing with that tobacco abuse and presence in the schools. I know from some of the elementary school teachers I circulate with that that's becoming a growing concern with younger and younger students each year. And then the other
One
item.
second, Mr. Daniels. Yeah, that's not within those.
Mr. Daniels, I'm trying to even find which one you're talking about.
These policies are 144 term, 156 legal counsel, and 166 exempt meetings, so that would not be for this one, sir.
No, it would be probably 2 clusters from now.
Okay.
So, my apologies.
Stay close.
Okay. So we have no speaker. Next is the Chapter 1000 Policies Administration, Policy 1120 to Policy 1242, including the new policy for discretionary compensation for elected superintendent. Do we have any speakers for those items? Okay, seeing none. Next up, Chapter 2000 Program, Policy 2120 to Policy 2700. So, any speakers for that one? Noting no speakers. Next up, Chapter 3000, Instructional Staff, 3120 to Policy 3242, including new Policy 3700, Teachers' Bill of Rights. Do we have any speakers for those? Okay. Seeing none, moving on to Chapter 4000, Support Staff, Policy 4120 to Policy 412101. Do we have any speakers for those items? Seeing none, moving on to Chapter 5000, Student, Policy 5200 to Policy 5610, including the new policy for school uniforms. Do we have any?
That may be you, Mr. Daniels.
That's what I was trying to. Thank you. Proceed.
All right, so Robert Daniels, as I was saying, the scheduling on the tobacco usage with the students, it took down to Board Policy 5112, which has one line about what students can and cannot do with the tobaccos on campus. Lots of rules for the teachers, board members, and school employees. Not much there addressing the students directly. I'm just worried again that with it being a growing problem with ever younger students and an ever broader problem, what with the vape and flavored things and whatnot, that perhaps we shouldn't be removing any lever that could be pulled to help control that. And I completely forgot the number associated with the book challenges, but it was just very unclear trying to read that, what the change would actually affect, if it could be possible for someone to tell us in plain English what that change means with the book challenge process. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Daniels. Do we have any other speakers for the 5000 series? Seeing none, moving on to Chapter 6000 Finances, 6152.01. Do we have any speakers for that? Okay. Seeing none, moving on to Chapter 7000 Property, new policy 7421, Restrooms and Changing Facilities. Do we have any speakers for those? Seeing none, moving on to Chapter 8000 Operations, Policy 8330 to Policy 8640. Do we have any speakers for those items? Okay, seeing none. Chapter 9000 Community Relations, Policy 9130 to Policy 9800. Do we have any speakers for those policies? Seeing none, moving on to new policy for procurement and use of naloxone. Excuse me on that. Chapters 1000, 3000, 4000, 5000, and 9000. Do we have any speakers for those items? Okay. Seeing none, new policy for investigations, employee discipline. Chapter 1000, 3000, and 4000. Do we have any speakers for those? Okay. Seeing none, at this point, with no other comment, I will now close the public hearing and reconvene the regular school board meeting of October 17, 2023. The time is 7 p.m. Dr. Bernier, please restate your recommendation for this evening's public hearing item.
Mr. Chair, members of the board and the public, item Q1, approval to adopt new and revised policies in compliance with the changes in related rules, regulations, and statutes, to adopt best practices and promote transparency and accountability. The effective date of this adoption shall be October 18, 2023.
You have heard the superintendent's recommendation that the board approve to adopt new and revised board policies in compliance with changes in related rules, regulations, and statutes to adopt best practices and promote transparency and accountability. The effective date of this adoption shall be October 18, 2023. Board members, is there a motion to approve? Ms. Jordan?
I move to approve to adopt the new and revised board policies as written.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Juvenelli. Moved by Ms. Jordan and seconded by Ms. Juvenelli. Board members, is there any discussion? Ms. Juvenelli.
Just real quick, on the discretionary compensation for the elected superintendent, I had brought this up earlier, and I thought it was important to just remind everyone, because I had mentioned the fact that we needed to include Spalk and Talc in the consideration at the same time that the superintendent would get an increase. And I had mentioned about an earlier situation where administrators received pay increases when the staff did not, and someone had mentioned that my memory was our memories were different, but I have to remind this board that we did give this particular board did give an administrative salary increase when Spalk and Talc did not get one at that time. We were still in negotiations with that, so it did happen before giving we did give an administrative increase before considering Spalk and Talc. And so I just want to bring that up because I think it's important. That's why I wanted to make sure that it was in this actual policy. So thank you. I just wanted to bring that back up.
Dr. Bernier, did you want to? Oh, sorry, I thought you were motioning to. My apologies. Thank you, Ms. Juvenelli. Do we have any other comments regarding the motion on the floor right now? Okay. At this point, I'm going to ask everyone to please record your vote. Okay. Motion carries 6-0. Dr. Bernier or Attorney DeBrie-Bruno, is there anything else you'd like to address regarding this public hearing?
No, sir.
I do. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Board Policy 2522, there was a question about that. That is basically taking the new language from the statute from House Bill 1069 and now updating our policy to reflect that statute. Okay. And then we did also make an additional change and made the and into an or. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney DeBrie-Bruno. Moving on to good of the order and other business. We're going to start with our student representative, Nashini Fernando. Please go ahead.
I would like to take this opportunity to thank all the people in my life that have shown me the value of education and provided me with the opportunities to do so, starting with my parents. My parents have always emphasized the importance of education and helped me find the right resources. At Dunbar High School, my principal, Mr. Burnside, and teachers always offer my peers and I so many different STEM programs such as Math Team, HOSA, TSA, Computer Science Club, and so many more. As a part of the Math Team, we've had the opportunity to compete with some of the best math students around the country in Fayetteville, Arkansas this past summer. Through HOSA, we get to promote public health awareness, and through TSA, we get to explore many different areas of technology, from biotech to geospatial technology. These opportunities and the individuals who made them possible, among so many others, have shown me that my goal of becoming a doctor doesn't have to be a dream. It can be a reality.
Thank you, Ms. Fernando. Okay. We're going to move on next to Ms. Juvenelli.
I just have a little bit, just want to congratulate all the promotions that happened tonight, and then welcome our school representative. Thank you, student representative. And that is really it. I just wanted to commend the band tonight. That was excellent. I wish I'd have got out here a little sooner instead of having a conversation in there, because I missed, they were great, South Fort Myers High School band. And I just wanted to just say I'm thinking about Israel, and I'm praying for peace, and I hope that continues throughout the world. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Patrica?
So South Fort Myers was awesome. I love a good marching band. It just makes me happy. And the last song reminded me of like Friday night, Saturday night in college, because that was a song that was popular back then. Ms. Fernando, Alpha Sigma Kappa is a fraternity for women in STEM. So think about that when you go to college, because my daughter is a woman in STEM, and she's now surrounded by other women who want to pursue science, technology, engineering, and math as their future careers. And there's not a lot of you. Women in STEM is a rare thing, relatively speaking. So the other thing, and I said this to you when you came up, is every award I see, every accolade I see your name and your face. And you really are a bright spot for me as a board member, I'm sure for my colleagues as well. Keep it up. You're just amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to Ms. Jordan.
Okay, so I have two motions to bring forward. The one is this all extends from last week. As I shared during the last week's workshop, EDAC recommended that the board consider an exception to the attendance policy due to, I'm sorry, I'm reading off my phone, due to an extenuation circumstances. This evening we approved revision to board policy 9140, which now encompasses further language relating to absence and ability to participate virtually. As such, I would like the board to afford leniency for those absent from board advisory committee meetings between September 2023 through October 17th, 2023. Thus, I move that all of these absence from board advisory committee meetings between September 2023 and October 17th, 2023 be excused, and that it not count towards the 2 absence policy limit, given the newly adopted revision to board policy 9140.
There is a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I'll second that. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. The item has been moved by Ms. Jordan and seconded by Ms. Juvenelli. Prior to the board's discussion, we'll open up the floor for public comment on Ms. Jordan's motion under the same guidelines previously advised by Attorney Dupree Bruno earlier in the meeting. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address the board in regards to this motion? Okay. Seeing none. At this point, board member Jordan has made a motion that all those absent from board advisory committee meetings between September 23rd and October 17th, 2023 be excused, and that it not count towards a 2 absent policy limit given the newly adopted revisions to board policy. To board policy 9140. And it was properly seconded by board member. At this time, the floor is open for any discussion. Do we have any comments or discussion in regards to this, board members?
If I may, and this again was from the EDAC meeting, and the reason for this was because of the fact that, which will be the next one, when they were informed about the meeting, and then of course, right now some of them already knew that they were going to have one that they were going to be missing, which would account for the 2, so they were ready to resign from their part in EDAC. So that, and I was asked to bring it before the board, so I did as such. So
any other comments or discussion? Okay. At this point, we'll do a roll call vote. Please signify by saying aye or nay when your name is called. Ms. Juvenelli.
Aye.
Ms. Patrica.
Yes, please.
Ms. Jordan.
Aye.
Ms. Langford Fleming.
Aye.
Ms. Morgan.
Aye.
And I am an aye. Motion carries 6-0. Ms. Jordan, please proceed.
Well, thank you for that. The second motion is EDAC also recommended a committee absence exception for their September 2023 meeting due to untimely notice to new members and reappointment members of the first scheduled meeting. We have addressed lenience for absence up to today. However, we should approve our appointments in August rather than in September, so all committees can have proper notice to their meeting in September. Therefore, I move that the Board Advisory Committee timeline be adjusted so the board appointments are completed in August for the committee members to receive proper notice for their first meeting in September.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second? Ms. Patrica? So item has been moved by Ms. Jordan and seconded by Ms. Patrica. Prior to the board's discussion, we'll open the floor for public comment on Ms. Jordan's motion under the same guidelines previously advised by Attorney DePri-Bruno. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to address and publicly speak on this motion? Okay. Seeing none. Board Member Jordan has made a motion that the Board Advisory Committee timeline be adjusted so the board appointments are completed in August for committee members to receive proper notice for their first meeting in September, and it was properly seconded by Board Member Patrica. At this time, the floor is open for any discussion. Board members, comments, questions? None? Okay. This again will be a roll call vote. Please signify by saying aye or nay when your name is called. Ms. Juvenelli?
Aye.
Ms. Patrica?
Yes, please.
Ms. Jordan?
Aye.
Ms. Langford Fleming?
Aye.
Ms. Morgan?
Aye.
And I am an aye. Motion carries 6-0. Do you have any other comment at this time, Ms. Jordan?
I do. Well, first of all, I want to thank all of you very much for that, and I'm sure EDAC will be appreciative as well as the other committee members that this will affect as well. I just wanted to, I know some things were mentioned today about the 30-year anniversary for Cape Coral Technical School. I did want to say that Mr. Brian Hart had received some awards were given out. Brian Hart was given one for 20 years plus at the Cape Coral Technical School. Candy Shears received an award for her 29 years in health science, and Nikki Torres received an award for her 10 plus years of dedicated service. So I really wanted to share that information. Also, the pavilion was named after the second director of the technical school, Cape Coral Technical School. It's the Scheisser, and I apologize if I'm mispronouncing his name, Scheisser Pavilion. So congratulations to all of those people that were there. And there were many others that were there who had been with the school for many years. Also, I know that we spoke about the taco cook-off, so I won't speak on that. But I do want to say again, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, Ms. Juvenelli and I had the opportunity to go there this weekend and tour with the some of the parents of the victims, the state's attorneys, and did the whole walkthrough to see what the mishaps were. In doing such, I just feel that we have been really blessed with the people that we have. Chief Newland, again, thank you. I said it earlier, but thank you. Mr. Ramirez, thank you for all you do, because I know you were there and you brought all that here to us to help us to be better. And but I wanted to say that again to everybody else here. And thank you to all of our security specialists, everybody. We appreciate everything that you do to keep us safe. And Miss Morgan, I hope she's going to share what she did this weekend in the garden, because we saw pictures of proof that she was in the garden. And again, the Healthy Living collaboration, I know we spoke about this a couple weeks ago. I brought it up about possible, I know, I'm sorry, Miss Jada Flemings brought it up, but I had to ask that possibly we could receive some, something from Miss Roy telling us what they're in the process of doing and all the good stuff that they're doing, and part of a workshop or something. So I just wanted to remind that we did bring that up, and possibly if we could have that. And that's it. Congratulations to Nashina. You're wonderful. And that's why I said every time we see you, I think you're getting an award, and I see your mom's out there, and your father, is here when he can be here. But that shows that, you have loving parents that really want to make sure that you do well. So congratulations to everything that you do. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Ms. Jordan. Moving on to Ms. Langford Fleming.
Yes, you are an outstanding young lady, and you have amazing parents that help guided you there, and it's so refreshing to hear you say or pronounce that you appreciate the people in your life that got you here. So just take that with you, and you're going to go super far. You might be sitting in one of these chairs one day, so if that's your dream. But I also wanted to say too that the people that came to speak today about bus issues, I know that our transportation department, and I know that Dr. Bernier is addressing all of these issues. Please do not ever hesitate to come and comment in front of the board. You are welcome. It's a listen up, speak up culture. I used to tell my students all the time, even though I was an elementary school teacher, I used to tell them all the time, listen, I can't help you fix it if I don't know what's broken. So we encourage that behavior to come and comment to the board and just let us know, because I know that our superintendent stands behind that as well. So, and Dr. Shirley Chapman, I just love when you come and speak. I don't know, it's so touching. You are a incredibly gifted woman, so, and your community is very, very lucky to have you speaking up for them. So thank you for all you do for the people that you love so much. So I was able to do some high school tours this week, and we have amazing staff. We've got some great programs going in all these high schools, things I didn't even know we had some of this stuff. And but you know what else we have? We've got some really cool kids in this community. And every time I go to visit a school, I'm getting the chills right now talking about it, but our students we have some incredibly talented young men and women, just like all the way from music from this afternoon that we heard at South Fort Myers into 3D printing. I didn't even know what that was when I went into that classroom, and it was a great visit. I look forward to many, many more. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Langford Fleming. Ms. Morgan?
So I have to comment about the
garden.
The garden at Heights Elementary. Leisha Roy and Susie Hassett put together. Well, I don't know who all was involved, but Sprouts made a great contribution, and I know that Leisha and Susie's dream is to have a garden at every school, and different levels of gardens at each school. I think elementary is supposed to be a raised bed, and then there's towers at the middle school, whatever. They had it all. And they did a great job. I would have to say there were probably, I would guess, around 40 people there, and different people were working in different stations. A lot of the men were working with cement blocks, building I guess potting stations for kids. It was fabulous. And then the gardens, and we built the towers and put the dirt in and put the plants in and watered them. I know it's their dream to do this district-wide, and I hope that students across the district at some point will have the opportunity to participate. Oh, the little ones running around, they were just playing in the dirt and helping out, and it was great. So I just hope every school has the opportunity to build this kind of garden, because I suspect going back there in a couple of months, you'll see lots of plants in it. You'll know that they are eating out of their garden and loving every moment of it. So it was a lot of fun. Armour can farm too. He did his part. Yeah, he lifted we did our thing. So we had fun. So those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Morgan. Unfortunately for my comments, you're going to have to listen to me in the audience read a little bit longer, so my apologies. On October 23rd, 2023, Drug Free Lee County Coalition for Drug Free Southwest Florida will be honoring Red Ribbon Week at the Collaboratory. I know that we've acknowledged this before at our last meeting. However, I was invited to read a formal proclamation in support on behalf of the school board. So, given the board's decision in 2021 not to have resolutions, proclamations, I will be making a motion. Before I make that motion, let me read the resolution into the record, so forgive me for a moment. So, resolution, whereas most students in Lee County do not use alcohol, tobacco, or other drugs, thereby exemplifying the 2023 National Red Ribbon Week theme of Be Kind to Your Mind, Live Drug-Free. And whereas the school district of Lee County, its school board, administrators, teachers, and staff have all shown an outstanding commitment to spreading the message of substance abuse prevention in schools. And whereas this substance abuse is particularly damaging to our most valuable resource, our children. Whereas it is a contributing factor in the 3 leading causes of death for teenagers, accidents, homicides, and suicides. And whereas the National Red Ribbon campaign offers citizens the opportunity to demonstrate their commitment to drug-free lifestyles, no use of illegal drugs, and no illegal use of legal drugs. And whereas it is imperative that visible, unified prevention education efforts by community members be launched to eliminate the demand for drugs of those who are using. And whereas it is the goal of the National Red Ribbon Campaign and the Coalition for a Drug-Free Southwest Florida to involve families, schools, businesses, churches, law enforcement agencies, and service organizations in all aspects of the campaign, and to establish an atmosphere that supports awareness, education, and ongoing initiatives to prevent illegal drug use. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the School Board of Lee County, Florida, does hereby proclaim October 23rd to 31st, 2023 as National Red Ribbon Week. Be kind to your mind, living drug-free. So I'm going to be moving that a proclamation in support of Red Ribbon Week be read at the Drug-Free Lee on October 23rd, 2023 on behalf of the School Board of Lee County. Do I have a second?
I second.
Okay, seconded by Ms. Langford Fleming. It has been moved by myself and seconded by Ms. Langford Fleming. Prior to the board's discussion, we will open the floor for public comment on my motion under the same guidelines previously advised by Attorney Dupree Bruno earlier in the meeting. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to make public comments on this motion for the proclamation? Okay. Okay, seeing none. I have made a motion that a proclamation in support of Red Ribbon Week be read at the Drug-Free Lee on October 23rd, 2023 on behalf of the School Board of Lee County, and it was properly seconded by Board Member Langford Fleming. At this time, the floor is open for any discussion. Board member comments or questions? Go ahead, Ms. Jordan, and then followed by Ms. Morgan.
I was just going to say it's a great idea. Thank you.
But I'm just concerned that we have a policy that says we're not going to do it, and now we're going to do it, and now we're going to, and then that will be followed by other requests of board members to do something similar, and then, you know, I just trying to understand why this and no other.
Can I follow up on that, Ms. Morgan?
Absolutely, that's
So
why I
I'm
raised the
asking to make a proclamation at that meeting, not as of tonight. I'm asking for the permission of the board to read this at that meeting. I'm not asking for a proclamation here. I know it's a difference with a distinction, but a little distinction, but it still is. That's why I adjusted my, in regards to our protocols, I had that discussion in regards with Attorney Dupree Bruno on this. So I'm not asking for an actual proclamation for here. I'm asking for the permission to read this proclamation as a member of the school board at the meeting. Go ahead, Ms. Patrica.
And we've essentially already acknowledged it, so I will support it tonight, but I do think that Ms. Morgan's comment, along with the comments from our meeting 2 weeks ago, sort of require us to put this on a workshop for us to discuss, because this is the first couple times it's come up since this board has been seated. This board might want to do things differently. So if we have a discussion during a workshop, then we will be sure to operate within our protocol, because I share with you the desire to always be very rule-oriented in our behavior. So You're not the chair always, but I'm going to pretend that you're Armor and ask you. I'm seeing a lot of shaking heads to have this placed on a workshop for discussion.
I believe for a reorganization meeting, it was going to be, at least from chairpersons and other comments on here. Again, as I said, I'm asking for permission to speak at the meeting. I'm not asking for the actual proclamation up here. I know it's slightly different, but that is why I amended my original motion on this, so.
Mr. Chairman, and just to clarify a little bit, you'd notice that the proclamation that was read does not say adopted by the school board. Because normally when the board has done resolutions in the past, it would say adopted by the school board. This one does not. I believe what Mr. Fisher is asking that he be able to read this on behalf of the school board, but it's not really adopted. But I understand the slight distinction.
Ms. Juvenile?
And we've had, prior boards have had the same discussion, and as Ms. Morgan and Ms. Patrica are bringing it forefront. So my concern, my question is, it's not a concern, is the desire of this board to want to change that protocol where we're going to start having resolutions and proclamations, because the list gets really long for a lot of that happening, and that is how we. That's how we arrived at this point, because the list became very long. There was lots of resolutions, and then we decided that we would acknowledge things, and that would be at the beginning of our meeting, but we would not go into resolutions and proclamations and so forth, because I think one of it might have been the Irish, one of the Irish, their month, whatever. We didn't want to offend anyone at all, and that was the main reason. No, we did. So when we start singling different things out, you become offensive. That's when we don't want to do that. Thank you.
Ms. Jordan?
Thank you, Melissa. Ms. Giovanelli, you are correct. It just all came back. So yes, we did have that, and that's been probably like 2 years now where we had decided that, and that's why we moved it out of, and it's not part of our agenda any longer, because of the fact that people did not want to vote on certain, whatever, Italian, me being Italian, no, just kidding, whatever. But I'm just, for certain things, which then became, are we offending anyone? So we wanted to make sure we did not, so we moved that out, and we got rid of certain like resolutions, if it is an action related to that, if we make a resolution, so, and I understand what you're saying. You're saying you're not doing it as the board. Well, you are doing it as the board, though. You're reading it as the board on at that committee meeting, is what you're wanting to do.
I'm asking for permission to speak there.
Correct. On behalf of the board.
Mm-hmm. That's why I went this route.
Yeah.
Ms. Langford Fleming.
I understand what my colleagues are up here concerned about when it comes to division and not including and making sure we cover all of our bases. But when it comes to this topic, if, to me, this falls under the umbrella of safety and security for our students, and I don't see any issue with having a drug-free week. I don't see how that falls under the same, or Red Ribbon Week, Red Ribbon Week. I don't see how that falls under the same umbrella as to what I'm hearing. I know that was maybe the old board, but I really try hard to think about just us here today, and not so much the history of how we got here. So I completely support you wanting to be able to do this.
Ms. Jordan?
Thank you. It's not the old board or this board. It is, we have that, it's written down that, in which we have not been doing this. We were supposed to, even when we did the breast cancer, or when we approved that, we are not supposed to do any of that unless it's brought before us. And even when we're adding on to that, that is supposed to come before us, and we're supposed to do that at a board reorg, even though we have allowed that to happen. But it is written that we will discuss that list at the board reorg. I'm sorry, Ms. DePribono's like...
So just to clarify for the board, you're correct, Ms. Jordan. So the board's protocols require, and you have had a lot of discussion about this particular topic, acknowledgements, resolutions. Oh, my mic is on. Thank you. Thank you. Horace is always watching out for me. With regards to resolutions and with regards to acknowledgements, proclamations, there's been a lot of discussion. And where the board landed is that during your reorganization, you're going to choose all of the days that you're going to recognize, and that there would be acknowledgements because you didn't want to vote on them and you didn't want to read them as resolutions in the past. There was a lot of discussion about that. It doesn't stop a board member from bringing up a motion, we know that, but that is where you landed. So in November, you're going to have another opportunity to review that and make any changes that you so require, or so desire, I should say.
Anybody else want to comment on that? Ms. Patrica? Oh, sorry, my apologies. No, and again, that's why I adjusted it. I do understand that, so I was trying to look at a different way of doing it, so it didn't go against protocol. I was trying to look at it from, I truly mean that. I was trying to figure out the best way to accomplish two things. I know this is something that's been done before as well for National Red Ribbon Week, from my understanding, so so I apologize if it's trying to go around anyway. That's why I specifically said I'm asking for permission to speak there. So, and I wanted to be respectful to my fellow board members with that. So, anything else? Okay. Board, we're now prepared to vote on the motion. This will be a roll call vote. Please signify by saying aye or nay when your name is called. Ms. Juvenelli.
Aye.
Ms. Patrica.
Yes, please.
Ms. Jordan.
Aye.
Ms. Langford Fleming.
Aye.
Ms. Morgan.
Aye.
And I am an aye. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you, board. I'm going to actually go back to just a couple comments. My apologies. So first off, Nashini, you sound like an amazing student. It's been great to get to hear you up here and hear of your accomplishments. One thing I'm going to ask is, I've asked these students many times, when you become a doctor, can you come back to Lee County, please? It'd be great to have you in this area. So thank you to the South Fort Myers marching band before. That was amazing. That was truly cool. I always enjoy that. I attended the Cape Coral homecoming game. It was a great game. Unfortunately, it was lost in the last minute, but it was truly a fun time, and I appreciate Principal Jackson for having me out there. I also went, along with many others, to Cape Coral Technical College's 30th anniversary. They did a great job out there, including Director Pease out there. I'm looking forward to the future expansion of that, and I know the citizens of Cape Coral are very excited about that. So also, some of us went to meet President Timor, the new president of FGCU. That was a very good time that many of us got a chance to speak to her, and I know she'd be interested in talking to us to see how we can work together in the future. And that is all I have this moment. Those are my comments. Moving on to Attorney Debris Bruno.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I continuously learn something from our student representatives. I have no idea what geospatial technology is, so I had to look it up. It's a new emerging field of study that consists of 3 major disciplines: geographic information, GIS, remote sensing, RS, and global positioning. That's amazing. I still don't even understand what the concept is, but that's really amazing. I think you're going to do great as a doctor. I love the fact that you stated that you want to bring awareness after you become a doctor, to bring awareness to other young ladies in STEM. So I really wish that you continue to do that, and continue to bring somebody along with you, because you're going to go very far.
Nashini, it's hard to believe you're only a sophomore. I mean, that's, I think, the biggest thing I take away. There's just so many great years ahead for you. Can't wait to see what you do. I'm going to take a line from The Graduate, right? I believe it was The Graduate movie, where the future's in plastics. I want to tell you that there's something we're interested in bringing to the school district. It's called Cube Satellites, where high school students actually program the satellite, and then we get a launch out of Cape Canaveral, and we actually can put it into orbit so it can do and feed back the information that you program to give it to. I'm watching you smile, and you're thinking, I'm up for this challenge. I had a conversation with your principal when I first got here. We are still working with a company, not a company, a not-for-profit foundation called the Aldrin Foundation, related to Buzz Aldrin, run by his son. So keep your fingers crossed that sometime before you're a senior, you may be standing at the Cape to watch something you build and your students build to go into space. I want to just take an opportunity to just remind people related to my comments this afternoon, related to the safety calls that we made on Friday. I want to thank our staff, our administrators, our teachers, and our principals for all the work they do each and every day to ensure safety. While Mr. Newland was at his usual self and very professional regarding all the work we're doing to upgrade our safety procedures and materials at our school buildings, safety really begins with our students and our student body. So thank you again also to our parents who've had that difficult conversation with their student and set the expectations for what proper behavior is at school, how to utilize social media in a positive manner, and continue to monitor their children and their children's progress. I also want to thank our law enforcement partners who unfortunately sometimes are forced into action regarding student actions that put other students at risk. Again, if we're going to continue to build a culture of safety at our school building as strong as the perimeters and the other walls that we're putting up, we need to make sure that we're focused on having our students being able to, if they see something, to say something, and then promise when they say something that we can protect the information. I don't know that we can say that enough. Want to just take a second to shout out to the Wolfpack of South Fort Myers. I want to recognize Tyler Craner, who is the band director, and I think in all of this, I would like to just make sure that people know that one of the reasons why they were here is to impress us and impress the community with their abilities, but they were also here partially to ensure that maybe the public might step out to something they don't normally go to, which is the Lee County Marching Music Performance Assessment at Fort Myers High School on November 4th. Members of the group that performed tonight, as well as many other individuals and bands from across our community, will have the opportunity to have their marching bands judged and receive performance assessments related to their ability. And it'd be remiss to let this board meeting go by without recognizing just the other day. The other day was Bosses Day. I want to recognize my 7 bosses at the dais. I stopped using that phrase shortly after getting here because a board member chastised me that she didn't like that term. But in reality, you are, so I appreciate all that you do each and every day on behalf of the students. And finally, I think just a shout out to Evergreen and some of the work you did today. I think it's important, and this is the beginning of the release of the message. By approving the Evergreen contract today, you have put this school district under its first comprehensive job study that it's been in years. It is an opportunity for us to look at pay differentials, policies, procedures, how people are placed into pay scales, and develop a plan moving forward to ensure that if people are doing similar jobs, they're getting the similar wage. So really excited about what this is going to unfold for us. It will take some time. We will not have paperwork and reports till a very late spring, so I want to make sure people are aware. Lastly, I would like to close out with recent global events have evoked strong emotions and concerns worldwide. It is crucial that we come together as a supportive and understanding community during times like these. It's important to acknowledge that our students and staff may have friends and family members or personal connections in the affected regions of our globe. This can play an emotional toll on these students, and the events of that emotional toll can be significant. We want to emphasize that we are here as a school system to provide support and resources to help those who may be affected by the recent events. We encourage parents and guardians to reach out to our school counselors and other mental health supports if they believe their child may need additional support during this time. We encourage an open and respectful dialogue amongst our students, staff, and parents, as well as the entire community, in an attempt to foster understanding and empathy. So thank you very much for that opportunity, and thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bernier. Moving on to item 5, next scheduled meetings of the board. On Wednesday, November 1st, there will be a board workshop at 12 p.m. And on Tuesday, November 7th, there will be a board briefing at 1 p.m. and a board action meeting at 6 o'clock. At this point, having no other business to come before this board and seeing no objection, this meeting is adjourned. The time is 7:39 p.m. Have a great evening, everyone. Thank you.
Good job, Sam.